gosh, Randy, I wish I could whip one out of my pocket.
I'm ready to go. Whenever you guys are ready, you can get going.
Connie.
I can't wait to meet you. I'm excited when I show up. It's always a party. On the wrong hand part this weekend. Christine keeps it.
Randy, do you have what you need?
All right. We will adjourn the Board of Education closed session and convene the Board of Education open session at 7:03. Tonight, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance led by our Wild Rose School of Creative Arts. Dr. Miller, would you like to?
Good evening, President Gilliland, Dr. Therosian, Board of Education and Cabinet, and our audience. I am Dr. Miller. I'm the principal of Wild Rose and School of Creative Arts, and I am so excited to have with me here members of our Lion King cast. We have our three leading the pledge, and then we have a little special presentation for you this evening. Would you like to come on up and introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name's Amira Sora. Hi, my name is Samuel Shima Bukro. Hi, my name is VR Taylor. Please stand.
Tell them to put their right hand over their heart.
Put your right hand over your heart.
Ready, begin.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. And then, Amira, you're going to speak? So as the School of Creative Arts, Wild Rose will be hosting the Lion King Kids. We are very excited. And this evening, Amira Sora, one of our presenters, is going to be giving you some more information about the show coming up at the Amundsen. And then just to let you know, mark your calendars, everyone. The Wild Rose Family Dinner and Show for the Lion King is at the Louise K. Taylor Performing Arts Center, and that is April 19th. And Board and Cabinet, we have tickets that will call for you that night, so we are looking forward to you joining us. And now I turn it over to Amira.
We are proud to present Hakuna Matata from our upcoming musical, Disney's The Lion King Kids at Wild Rose School of Creative Arts. We are proud that Wild Rose won the prestigious Disney Musicals in the Schools Grant, which helps our school fund musicals for the next 3 years. As well as performing for our Monrovia community, we also get to perform a scene at the Lion King at the Emerson Theater in late April. You are all invited to our show on Friday, April 19th, on Louise K. Taylor Performing Arts Center at Monrovia High School. Thank you so much for supporting the arts.
And that is a little taste of the show. It's going to be fantastic. And we really want to thank our school board and for your support, as well as Center Theater Group and Disney Musicals in School, bringing these productions to our children. They just come alive. And the legacy we're building across our schools, starting with our students at Wild Rose and building through, as you saw, High School Musical and into our high school. It's so beautiful, the opportunity for our children. So thank you, Board of Education, for this, because it's your hard work that helps us. Yes, yes. Okay. Okay. Just to thank our teaching staff before they scurry out. Our directors, Amanda Velez, Maria Lomelin, Sharon Noggle, Bethany DeLisi, and Mr. Randy Medina.
Thank you. I sure appreciate it. It always, at my age, it's always nice to go back to elementary. And when we have an elementary school do the pledge, it always takes me back to elementary school. But certainly my elementary school didn't have anything like the Disney program that we're privileged to have at Wild Rose. And like Dr. Miller said, we're building such a wonderful program. Elementary, middle school, high school, our arts departments and performing arts offerings are just getting better every year. So thanks for being here, Wild Rose. Appreciate it. All right, roll call. We'll show all present except for Mr. Jackson, who is busy receiving a very prestigious award tonight. And I would say the organization that is recognizing him, but it's too long. So I'm just going to say he is receiving a very prestigious award tonight, and we're very proud of him. All right, closed session today, we talked about some personnel issues, and we took no formal action on any of those issues. Order of business, is there any change to the order of business? I would like to mention that, just so everybody knows, after we do our student board member report, we will have a brief break, take a recess for a few minutes.
After the report from the superintendent.
Let's do it right after the.
Okay.
All right. Well, we've got the hippie butts here. Okay. I'll go with Dr. Throsian's suggestion. We'll do it right after the superintendent's report, so we've got all of the folks especially the students, can get home and study for all that, get all that homework done. So we'll take the break right after Dr. Throsian's report. Any other changes in the agenda?
Yes, President Gilliland, members of the board, we will be moving consent items 1 and 9 regarding our socio-emotional learning grant and Parent Square from consent to action following the action items in educational services. This will immediately precede board business. So again, consent items 1 and 9.
Okay, anything else? All right, then we'll move on to approving the minutes of the Special Board of Education meeting of March 11th. And Ms. Lockerbie, is that the one you had a correction to?
I don't think that we did the Pledge of Allegiance at that one. Monday, the 11th. I don't think we did the Pledge of Allegiance. So we'll just
Okay,
we can edit that.
With that edit, can I get a second? Let me get a motion first, and then we'll get a second.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, and moving on to the minutes of the Board of Education meeting on March 13th. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
With that, we'll move on to recognitions and communications, and we have some very special recognitions tonight. Monrovia Schools Foundation does such a wonderful job in helping us to raise money and provide program and opportunities for our students. Appreciate them so much. They've got some special awards here for their 30th year anniversary, and they want to come here and recognize some folks that have done some great things. So I'll turn it over to Debbie Pinzer, the president of our Monrovia Schools Foundation, to introduce the recipients and tell us about these awards.
Thank you, Board President. First of all, I'd like to say to the board and the superintendent, thank you for giving us this forum to recognize these people. We had a little problem with our event, but we won't go into that. A little bit about the foundation. We've been in existence for 30 years. We donate money to only Monrovia Unified School District for programs such as teacher grants, performing arts, robotics, musical instruments, dressing rooms for the performing arts studio. Over 30 years, if I could take my 10 fingers and make them all $200,000, it wouldn't be enough as to how much money we have donated to the school district. And we are very proud of that. So tonight, we chose these people because these are programs that we have funneled money into. The Renaissance program, because we funnel in multiple thousands of dollars into scholarships for students at the high school. The robotics program, which we have been supporting for many years. MEO games, which we're not going to recognize the people tonight. We're going to bring them back and recognize them because tomorrow is the MEO games and they are very, very busy. And then our favorite teacher, we're going to recognize her tonight. So if I could have Kirk McGinnis come up and talk about Renaissance.
Thank you, Debbie. Good evening, Board President, members of the board, cabinet. Thank you for having me. What a wonderful opportunity to help celebrate some outstanding individuals in our community and on our schools. And I get the pleasure of introducing to you no stranger, but Mr. Paul Dawes, our Renaissance coordinator. Mr. Dawes, would you come on up? I say he's no stranger in this room because he's spent a lot of time advocating for and supporting the work that we do and connecting our kids to our something special on our campuses. But in the community, if you don't know Mr. Dawes, what he has helped implement in our beginning at Monrovia High School and then in all of our campuses across the district is the Renaissance program. And the Renaissance program helps celebrate kids, helps celebrate staff, and helps celebrate that bond between us and our community. And when you start peeling away that onion of what brings a kid to a campus, and you start asking them questions, and they start referencing things, programs, activities, events that are all under the umbrella of the Renaissance program. We have student leaders that take it upon themselves to recognize kids on our campus, create opportunities to celebrate their successes, and that all comes from somebody like Mr. Dawes, and of course in support or the support that we receive from generous donations and the support of places like Monrovia Schools Foundation, it helps to make that happen. So Mr. Paul Dawes, thank you for being an outstanding advocate for kids and outstanding advocate for building a positive culture in our district and on our campus. Thank you. Well, why don't you do it since I'm sorry, I was going to talk about Jen Jackson as well, but I was saying she's not here.
Yeah, slacking off and being a wife instead of a principal. I don't know. Thank you. But I did want to make sure that Jen was also credited with this. Renaissance would not be in this school district if it wasn't for Jennifer Jackson. She was approached 15 years ago as a young science teacher on our campus. And was told that she was going to do this program, and she took it on like she does everything else, with her stereotypical all-or-nothing attitude and the energy that she brings to everything, and she built that program. And then when she became an administrator and it was handed to me, I had the opportunity to run with something and continue to build upon the foundation that she established. And I'm forever grateful to her. I doubted the entire thing at the beginning, as has been well documented. But 15 years later, I am incredibly grateful for the vehicle that I have to change the life of kids and to try and impact every single student that steps on our campus at Monrovia High School. So on behalf of both of us, thank you to the Schools Foundation, and we will keep pressing on and bringing the Renaissance message school-wide, district-wide, until we both fall down. So thank you.
Okay, so the next awards are for the robotics program, and Kirk's going to speak about them too.
Great. Thank you. Home to Scholars and Champions does not just come on the wall for no reason at all. And tonight you're going to hear from some outstanding champions, both from our school and also from Clifton. But the Monrovia High School robotics program started many years ago under the direction of Mr. Tom Dobson. Tom, would you come on up here for a quick moment? Even before my time at the high school, I had I know the robotics program was already underway, and this is a club. This is not a class. This is not something that kids sign up for and get credit for in an approach to their graduation requirements. This is dedication. This is outside of the school day. This is after hours. This is countless hours in in their workshop, online programming, challenging each other, solving problems, and that doesn't happen, and countless hours of volunteer work setting up these competitions, and that doesn't happen alone, and it came from Tom's vision and direction and management of this whole big project. He's at the helm of guiding these kids and these teams, and more importantly, creating an opportunity for them to be creative and to solve problems and to take on some challenges that are immense. And it's awe-inspiring to be around these kids when they're in that zone, because it is just like step away and let them lead because they're outstanding. And somebody like Tom has been able to guide this whole group and keep it all focused. And so we're very, very thankful for your dedication and your commitment to making this happen. So, Mr. Tom Dobson.
Well, shoot. Yeah, I agree. We have a pretty good robotics program at Monrovia. And I say Monrovia because it's not just at the high school. We have 6 teams at the high school. This year we have just about 70 students. But at the middle schools, we have teams both at Clifton, which you'll hear about later, and also at Santa Fe. And so maybe another 50 or so students. So altogether in Monrovia, we have 70 plus 50, 130 students active in the robotics program. And I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a school district anywhere, certainly not anywhere that I know of, that has what we have here at Monrovia High School. And the reason is, I think Kirk said it, he said group. And it is not just me, I guarantee you. I get a tremendous amount of support from Kirk and the school. I get a tremendous amount of support from you guys. You've been to our tournaments. You've seen what we do. I thank you for coming. The kids notice it. Makes a big difference. Thank you. Get a tremendous amount of support from the community. The community always has stepped up. We're going to be raising and spending a lot of money here real shortly, and we've always managed to be able to do that without too much trouble. And so the community has always stepped up real big for us. And then our parents, holy cow. We put on a lot of events at the high school, and it's the parents. They come through big time. And then, of course, it's the kids. And the kids, they're great. They're working real hard. Kirk hit it on the nail on the head. They don't have to be there. There's no grade involved. In fact, I'm usually trying to get, go home, please. It's time to go home. And they're there 24/7. They're there 5 days a week. They're there on Saturdays. The amount of time that the kids put in to robotics is huge. And so when you're supporting the Kings and Queens and the Hippie Bots, we're going to Houston for the World Championships in a little bit. When you support those guys and girls, those teams, you're not just supporting those 2 teams. What you're doing is you're supporting the entire program, because what they have achieved is the golden apple that every single kid in our programs, Santa Fe, Clifton, Monrovia High School, it's the golden apple that all those kids are reaching for. And we have 2 teams here that have caught that golden apple. And so it's really exciting to be able to go with them to Houston, to the World Championships. But really, your support is what pushes all those other kids to do what they do. And, it's really great. And I thank you. And I think that's all I have to say.
What a perfect segue to the Golden Apple. We have a Golden Apple Award recipient in the house, Mr. Brian Johnson. Would you come on up next, please? So our program runs on all that energy, but it is navigated by our volunteers. Each team has a dedicated volunteer, and the Hippie Bots actually have Mr. Brian Johnson. He's been I'm sorry. I saw all the the tie-dyes over there. And I should have made the connection, the purple and gold right here. Anyway, Brian has been a dedicated volunteer for many, many years at all of our schools. In fact, on Monday, I just had the pleasure of introducing him to us for his volunteer dedication, both at going all the way back to Mayflower many years ago. But he's one of those guys that kind of helps guide our kids, asking all the right questions, not giving them the answers. A good teacher doesn't answer many questions. A good teacher answers a question with another question, and that's what I hear a lot from him. And so we really thank you for your volunteer time, your hours, your dedication to the kids and this program and us as a whole. We are stronger because of that. So Brian Johnson.
If I could have Tom Dobson and Mr. Flores come up here, please, real quick. Again, Monrovia Schools Foundation is handing out money tonight, which is a wonderful thing. So we would like to give Clifton Robotics Team $1,000. Wow. And the Monrovia High School. That's the way that we show our support. And then if I could have, just real quick before we go to the next word, Dr. Leslie Miller. We were approached at our last board meeting about a math bee that's coming up throughout the elementary schools. And we have decided as the board to support the math bee. So we are going to be giving Dr. Leslie Miller for the math bee $1,000 as well. Thank you. Now if I can have our wonderful superintendent come speak about our next recipient.
Thank you, Debbie. President Gillen, members of the board, members of the audience, I am so happy to be able to talk about our next person. And Ann Battle, would you come join me up here? You don't like to be in front of the camera very often, so I'd like for you to give you that opportunity.
At least I combed my hair.
We all appreciate that. In the last 50 years, Monrovia Unified School District has had 9 superintendents and 1 photography teacher at Monrovia High School.
Wow.
By some calculation, she has positively impacted the lives of almost 10,000 students over her career, and it has been a successful one, earning her distinctions such as Teacher of the Year in the Monrovia Unified School District. Anne works tirelessly and selflessly on behalf of students and teachers, and we are the better for it. I'm delighted to have this opportunity to present her this evening, not just because of her successful career, but more importantly, she's a remarkable human being. Intelligent, compassionate, painfully honest, and fearless. The students of Monrovia are fortunate to have had such an extraordinary role model for half a century, and so is this superintendent. Thank you for all you do. Just want to call everybody's attention to the Teacher of the Year in 1997.
Slight change.
And I'd just like to say, too, Anne supports the Monrovia Schools Foundation through MTA in a great way. So it's a big help to us, and we love her dearly. Thank you. You want to talk? Go right ahead, darling. Go right ahead.
Well, they always told me the first 50 years were the hardest, so I guess the rest is going to be on cruise control. I wanted to get in Debbie's line when they were handing out the money so I could start my retirement fund, but obviously that's not going to start this year either. So I'm hoping that all this will be short and sweet for you guys. There's cake outside, and I have a feeling you're about to get some in a few minutes.
Once again, thank you to everybody for what you do, and hopefully we'll be here for another 30 years. Thank you.
I want to say a special thanks to Debbie. She's worked so hard for this district for so many years and has taken on the president job of the Schools Foundation, and that's not an easy job. But they continue to help support this district, and thanks so much for your continued leadership in that, Debbie. All right, we're going to have just a couple more things, and then we will. Debbie left, but if all the recipients want to come up here and have a picture with the board, we can do that. Let's have all the recipients up here. And if Debbie's not gone too far, Debbie can come back in and we'll have a picture with the board.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I've been dying to just. No, no, yeah. And right there, you're in the center. Congratulations. No. You get in. I'm going to do this to you. We'll try to. Oh my God. We need to move you guys in a little bigger. Step in like you like it. I've been dying to do this. I'm hiding in the back. I'm just going to get up there and see it. I even have my shoes on. I think I see everybody. Good work. There you go. That works. Okay. Okay, look over here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Hi.
All right, thanks so much. That's a special group of people right there. Moving on to board member reports. Mr. Vonti, I believe you have a report.
Yes, thank you, President Gilliland. It's been a busy time for board members. We've been all over the place, and I'm sure you've seen us. From Clifton's high school musical last Friday and Saturday to packed houses both nights. What a treat that was. And this Friday and Saturday will be Into the Heights. We've been having LCAP meetings, both in English and in Spanish, so I thank those of you who have been going. I have to say the ones in Spanish have had a lot more parents show up, and it's been great participation. I really appreciate that, but if we can have more parents at both of them, that'd be great. And we've also had open houses from Monrovia High School, Clifton Middle School, and Mayflower last night. And coming up Thursday, we have Canyon Early Learning Center. So a lot of fun. And I do enjoy the open houses because we get the opportunity to actually go into the classrooms, talk to the teachers, and see all the artwork and all the creative writing and the math and everything that's going on in those classrooms. So we get to spend a little more time than in the boardwalks. So anyways, that was it.
Thank you. Great. We also had a boardwalk at the high school. A really good job by the high school. Appreciate all the staff work that went into that, and we did it at the time just before they had WASC, so they were already on their game. So good job, though. One more thing to do then, and we appreciate your hospitality. One other item I have to report: we did receive 2 letters as a school board from the Los Angeles County Office of Education. They had 2 visits to the district to check our compliance in a couple of areas. One was to the Monroe Elementary School to check the sufficiency of instructional materials, and they found they were just in fine order. Another was to look at our uniform complaint procedures, and they also gave us a good rating on that. So that's good news from LA County Office of Education. Moving on to the student board member report. Jared.
Yes, good evening, President. Sorry about that. Yes, good evening, President Gilliland, members of the board, Dr. Tarosian, and cabinet. As we begin our last semester of the year, we, especially our seniors, continue to push through to the finish line that is graduation. Our sports seasons are over, but our field trips are still in full swing. We had another trout release last week and a field trip with Mr. Chacon's drama class. The play we saw was called Lackawanna Blues, produced by the Center Theater Group. We rode the Gold Line to the Mark Taper Forum in downtown Los Angeles to watch this dramatization of a character named Ruben Santiago of Puerto Rico, raised by a nanny in New York during the 1950s and 60s. Lackawanna Blues is intended to be a one-man show because the actor narrating the play portrayed more than 20 other characters as well as the starring role of his young self. Lastly, we enjoyed the visit from our Board of Education members this last month and hope they realized how grateful we are for the unconditional support they give us to the students and staff at Canyon Oaks High School and Mountain Park School. That is all I have to report for tonight. Thank you.
All right. Just before we have the Robotics World Competition presentation, Board Member Hammond has a few words to say about that.
Thank you, President Gilliland. I wanted to do the pitch for you guys. You're going to come up here and show us your fantastic work, and you're going to meet some of these students who have spent countless hours to get to the position they are. They are going to represent Monrovia Unified School District in Houston at the Worlds. And to tell you what a great and fantastic honor this is for our community is that we have 2 schools that are being represented at the Worlds. It's unheard of to get in and hard enough, let alone have 2 schools being represented, and one's a high school and one is a middle school. To go to that, to the Worlds costs about $2,000 a student. There's a GoFundMe page that's out there right now. I would just really appreciate if everybody could just give a little bit. You don't have to give until it hurts, just a little bit, so that you can take part of the ownership of the success that goes on between the kings and queens and the hippie bots. And I had to look at the folks who are the coaches and the advisors, and I want to thank you so much for the hours and hours and hours that you put in working with our students to get them to the position that they're going to represent our district and our community in the light that you're in. So I want to take this opportunity to use my voice to ask people to support you going to Houston. I'm really looking forward to your demonstration yet again as you come up here to show us the fruits of your labor. Thank you so very, very much.
All right, Dr. Tarosian, the part of your report, that's the robotics. Just bring them on up.
Good evening. Thank you to the Board of Education for inviting the hippie bots and the kings and queens to share their accomplishments with you. I'm going to keep it brief tonight since there's 2 teams, and as some of you know, that's kind of hard for me, so I'll stick to the script. On March 9th, these 2 robotics teams formed an alliance at the Los Angeles Southern California Regional Championships with a 3rd team. The region encompasses 9 counties. Our alliance went on to win the title. The victory qualified both teams for the World Championship in Houston, Texas, on April 17th through 20th. This is the first on-the-field championship for the Kings and Queens and their 3rd trip to Worlds. The Hippie Bots are the first middle school team in the LA SoCal region to win it all on the field and the first middle school from the region to advance to the World Championships. Since this is for the World Championship, different regions are sent to 2 different sites, Houston and Detroit. The winners will eventually meet. Each championship has the same format. There will be 160 teams competing in Houston. Only 74 advanced as a result of their performances on the field. Monrovia Unified is the only district in the world to be sending 2 teams to the World Championships. The fact that one is a middle school team is all the more impressive. So now the real work begins. Not only do the teams have to continue to work on their robots, but now the kids, mentors, and parents all have to work together to raise the funds needed to get the kids to Houston. Both of these teams are good enough that they can make a deep run while on the biggest stage. It is going to cost over $30,000 to get these kids to give these kids this opportunity. So it is going to take a community, an incredible community that has always come through previously when its young people have earned once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. Now, I'm just a history teacher and a football coach at heart. So the best way to give you all insight as to how the teams have grown to become champions is the kids themselves. So the Hippie Bots, Sophia Atkins, and from the Kings and Queens, Julian Vasquez.
The Hippie Bots started the year with 7 of 9 members having no robotics experience at all, including me. The other 2 had very little, but we were all quite eager to learn and compete against high school teams. We got off to a good start. We won our first local competition and continued to finish with high rankings consistently throughout the season. Our early successes inspired us to become dedicated to our robotics team. We put in a lot of our free time, sometimes working until 9 p.m. during the week and 10 hours a day on weekends. We knew this was necessary in order to compete against more experienced high school teams. When our regular league season ended, we found ourselves at the interleague tournament, competing against even more intimidating high schools, but we were up for the challenge. All of the hours we put in were finally paying off. We finished as an alliance captain and were now in the position to select 2 strategic teammates, one of which is standing here with us tonight, the Kings and Queens. After the final match, we were headed for LA Regionals. Now the pressure was on. Our workload increased, but so did our determination. When regionals came around, we were nervous, but also prepared. What a day that was. Our consistent performance on the field did not go unnoticed. We were chosen by the first Alliance captain brainstorms, along with the Kings and Queens. We ended up becoming the top scoring Alliance team in all of California. Once again, we are a middle school team, so this surprised many, but not Mr. Flores. Of course, along with our top scoring performance, we were the winning Alliance and advanced to Worlds. So here we are trying to figure out how do we reach out to our community and ask for financial support in order to make it to this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We have certainly earned our spot at this international competition. We just have to figure out how to pay for it now. So this is when you guys come in. We have a GoFundMe page. This is the link. Yeah, okay. So we hope you're able to donate, and any amount would be greatly appreciated. And we look forward to representing Monrovia's strong robotics tradition on an international stage. Thank you. All right.
So I guess I'm going to explain a little bit about the game this year. Well, you want to hold the poster? Yeah. So this year, like every year, we get different game tasks that we have to compete in for the year. So this year, what we had to do was we had to collect some balls and blocks. These things. And our robots each had different methods of collecting and sorting these, because another big part of the game was to raise them up a ways and drop them into 2 different containers, one for these silver balls and one for these gold blocks. Now, so if the drivers want to demonstrate, what our robot does is it harvests the balls and blocks, and then it uses a non-powered solution to sorting the blocks. So And so, like Sophia said, we've actually advanced through several stages of competition. Each competition level, we had to compete against several different teams and with different pairings. But the 2 major competitions that we went to were the Interleague and the Regionals competitions. At Interleague, the Hippie Bots were actually high up in the rankings, and they picked us to be on their alliance for the ending, for the finals. And with that, we were able to continue on to the regionals. Also in the regionals, we were able to get high enough. Another team that is also going to Worlds picked us. Their name is Brainstorms. They chose us, and then the Hippie Bots. So that was our big alliance. And while there are a lot of complications that come with running robots over and over throughout the day, our robots were able to stay strong, and we did fairly well. Well enough to actually win the entire competition, and now we're heading to Worlds. So once again, bringing your attention to the GoFundMe. Anything helps, because we're just trying to get to Worlds, because it's a great experience overall. There's so many awesome possibilities over there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well done. Appreciate that. And if you guys will come out front, we'll get a picture. And as soon as the picture is over, we'll all take a recess. There is cake out there to celebrate everyone that's been up here, and we appreciate it. Oh wait, we have a question or two here for you.
All right.
How close to your financial goal are you?
Last time I checked, we were at about 6,000. A little bit over halfway now. Yeah.
Great.
All right. Don't forget that GoFundMe page. Yes, Mr. Flores? Hippie Bots have a little bit further to go, but
Right, that's what I wanted to clarify. There are two separate GoFundMe accounts. Is that correct? Okay, so look for both Hippie Bots and Kings and Queens.
all right.
Straight over.
They respond well to a swift kick, too. Ours spent 5 hours running back and forth. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's warranty will expire. Maybe a couple of you kind of kneel down along next to the robots. Come on, Dylan. Kneel down in between the robots and next to the robots and squeeze in. That works better.
We're recessed, right?
Are we automatically into recess?
I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
You gotta keep him alive to go to the.
Okay, it looks like we are. Have you ever been to Houston? Let's see, April, right? The bad humidity hasn't started yet. It's a good time of year to go to Houston.
Yeah, I'm used to humidity.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I used to live in Houston.
Oh, me too, for about 5 years.
Connecticut. Oh, I live in Virginia.
Oh, you know all about that stickiness. How long have you been out here?
I moved out here when I was like 7.
Okay.
Yeah, second grade.
So you still have memories of
Yeah,
Jacob?
I go back there a lot.
Oh, do you have memories? Yeah. Oh, okay. There's some cake back there.
I've been in it for 7 years. How are you?
It's my first year. Awesome. Yeah.
That's a new system that they introduced like 3 years ago. Now they have us doing programming with Java. Oh, okay. Yes. But we used to have an old system where it'd be an actual robot controller that we had to communicate with. And that programming language was C#.
Well, you guys formed a great alliance.
All right, we will reconvene. Well, we would need to wait to reconvene until Ms. Huff gets back. Okay, you ready? Then we'll move on with the superintendent's report, the rest of it.
Thank you, President Gilliland, members of the board. We also attended a board walk, as referenced earlier, at Monrovia High School. I'd like to invite Principal Kirk McGivens to give us a brief overview.
Thank you. Good evening again, everybody. I think there we go. So on March 11th, we were able to host the Monrovia Unified School Board at Monrovia High School and had an opportunity to share a little bit about our instructional program, walk around campus a little bit, look at the instruction happening on our campus, and answer questions and get some good guidance and feedback. And it was just prior to our WASP visit, so it was a good opportunity for us to have some conversation about some finishing touches to welcome the visiting committee, but then also to inform and share our goals and objectives for continued student improvement. So with that, what I'd like to do is to share a little bit about who we are at Monrovia High School. 1,602 outstanding Wildcat students on campus. Our subgroups represent our community as a whole and is quite indicative of the state averages. So when I compare our school to other schools, I use language like we are very similar to what the rest of the state looks like. We're about a medium-sized school with a lot of opportunities and programs in place to help support our students. You'll notice also that we are continuing to provide and create, deepen the strength of the programs that we have and create new programs on our campus that connect our students and engage them in rigorous coursework, engage them in activities that are exciting and enriching for them. This last couple of years, we've had the opportunity to add on Humanities Academy, which mirrors the honors track program like we have in our Math and Science Academy. We are branching out in our CTE pathways, our career technical education programs like our Digital Media Arts Academy and other pathways like our sports medicine, video production, photography, automotive engineering as such. And our Arts Conservatory has been outstanding, most recently in producing In the Heights. It's a wonderful show. If you have a chance to come see it, that'd be outstanding. We'd love to have you. We have 2 more shows this coming Friday and Saturday night at 7 o'clock, as well as branching into our partnership with Citrus College to offer our early college dual enrollment program at Monrovia High School. So we're very proud of those programs and services that we're providing to our students. On the right-hand side above the picture of our very first boys varsity volleyball team in the history of Monrovia High School, we have a list of the athletic and co-curricular activities that we have on campus specifically designed to allow students to explore and to express their voice and to create a culture on our campus of togetherness and focus. Speaking of our focus, our instructional focus is designed around preparing our students to be prepared for life after high school, to be critical thinkers, use academic language in a specific manner, and then to persevere through challenges, academic challenges and life challenges, because we know that to be successful in the future, job placement and career placement is not a linear experience. It's a very circuitous manner, and so students are building their portfolios, they're building their courses of study, they're preparing themselves for life after high school, and we know that a well-rounded base of solid problem-solving skills and critical thinking is really important. So we are focusing our efforts in our classrooms to develop and hone these skills in our students. foster that love for learning. The way that looks is different across our campus, and each of our departments have had an opportunity to dive a little bit deeper and identify what does it look like to foster that learning environment as a teacher, as an adult on our campus, to allow critical thinking to happen. We're asking open questions, deeper level questions, kind of like what I was talking about with the robotics earlier. Don't answer a question with the answer. Answer a question with another question that promotes that rigorous, ongoing thinking. We want our kids to be using academic language and to justify their thoughts and reasoning in the language of discourse. And we also know how important it is to, and when we're educating the brain, to educate the whole child, the heart and the soul as well. And that's where that perseverance comes into play. And we want our kids to know that they're supported, and know that they're help them work through their challenges both on our campus and in life after high school. One of the phrases that we've coined this year is living life the Wildcat way, and that has many facets of meaning. The first part is the sort of the expectation of how we want our children to behave on our campus and in our communities. That's paying attention to those around them, using kind words, being prepared for their work at hand, coming to school on time with the right materials. And then at the end of the day, just being a really good student, a good person, a good neighbor, a good friend. And this year, we've had the opportunity to use this as a calling card, or our brand, as you will. We've got stickers all over the place, and I've heard kids, I might be passing along, and they'll see me and they'll say, someone will pick up a piece of trash or something, and they'll say, hey, that's the Wildcat way. And even if they're doing it just for my own benefit, I'm okay with that, because it is practicing the behaviors that we want our students to embody on a regular basis when we're not looking, right? And that's the important skill set that we want to develop in our kids, in all of our educational opportunities. That's the type of the kid that is able to live life the Wildcat way are going to be good future employees, employers, and leaders in our communities. So that's a brief update and summary of the visit. I want, on behalf of Monrovia High School family, the staff and students, I want to thank you for your questions, your ongoing support, your guidance, and the direction that you help set for our schools for continued success. So thank you.
Question? Just one comment. Thank you for the hospitality, Kurt. It was really nice to have the folks there answering questions, and appreciate the teachers. I can only imagine what it must be like to be a teacher, and then all of a sudden your classroom is invaded by people who are obviously high in the district, and they kept on doing what they normally do every day, and you can tell that this was not an act for the purposes of us coming, and I deeply appreciate that. One thing that we did and we didn't have a discussion on, but I would like to have, is that we go and visit the high school every other year. So it's a 2-year process. I think because we have so many things that we're looking at the high school, and the fact that it is our flagship of the district, that we should attend a boardwalk, I think at least once a year. I would like to schedule to go back maybe during the first semester of the next school year, so that we can see some of the things that we had talked about and seeing how they're being implemented, and seeing if they're working for you or not. We have to go back and do some other tweaking, if you will. So I'd like to have us do that if we can, if the board so desires to do that.
Well, it would be our privilege. Our doors are always open, so it's a good opportunity for us to, like I said, to have that opportunity to get some feedback, a different set of eyes and ears looking at what we're doing. The culture on our campus has changed. No longer are our doors closed and we're doing work in isolation. We're very comfortable with that collaborative feel on our campus, and you as a group lend that support as well. So thank you.
Thank you. So we can make sure that gets on the board issues. I will say it again. Thank you so much for your hard work, dedication, and let's hear what WASC had to say.
Okay, good. Is it okay if I lead right into that as well? So a few weeks later, a week and a half later, we welcomed the Western Association of Schools and Colleges visit. It's an accreditation visit. And what WASC does is it's a cycle of continual school improvement, and schools go through a process, what's called a self-study. And we, as a collective group, went and recognized, went through a process, the WASC documents went through a process of identifying areas of strength that we see on our campus: instruction, culture, curriculum, assessment, and organization. And we did our own self-reflection. It's that look in the mirror. And so we had all of our leadership groups looking at areas of strength, and then also, more importantly, areas of growth. And so we wrote a very lengthy self-study. We submitted it to WASC as an organization. They send a group of 6 educators. They're volunteers, just like all of us, there were administrators and teachers and directors, and they spent 3.5 days on our campus and in our community learning about our school and program in real life. They'd already read our document, but their task was to visit our campus and to validate our report, identify where we were strong, identify our areas of growth, and more importantly, to look at our action plan for that continued improvement. So we wrote a 6-year action plan to address some of the areas of growth. And I will first begin, before I talk about their feedback, their initial response to coming to Monrovia, the high school and then also the community, was so overwhelmingly positive. And I want to thank all of you for being there, as well as the members in our community. We had a great turnout on a Sunday afternoon, St. Patrick's Day afternoon, at Monrovia High School to welcome these guests, but more importantly, to show that important partnership that we have together as a community. So it was an honor to be in that room. There was a really good energy, and I want to thank everybody for participating in that. So they spent, as I mentioned, 3 days in our classrooms and on our campus, learning from us and asking probing questions of students, of staff, visiting in our classrooms, looking at our report and seeing, okay, is what they wrote evident in what we see? And they summarized our 230-page report in a couple slides, but their report was very complimentary. And here are some of the commendations. They were very impressed with the relationships that we formed, not only in our community, but on our campus, both adult to adult, that collaboration aspect, but more importantly, that connection that we have with our kids, connecting them onto our campus. There was a lot of evidence of strong relationships. Other programs on our campus, following the lead of our Math and Science Academy in creating a system of continued academic rigor and preparation for life after high school. We're going into our 3rd year of our summer counseling meetings, and that has been met with great support and great feedback from our students and our parents and our staff. It's been a very valuable tool to have the family sit down with that counselor on a one-to-one basis every year to talk about their child's success, their challenges, and what we're going to do to help support them. That student connectedness is an interwoven fiber throughout all that we do. Our wellness center got a lot of feedback. There are very few high schools in Southern California area that I know of that have a wellness center that's as robust as ours. The partnership that we have, the resources that we have just in our own midst in our district, but then the partnerships in our larger community that are providing that service for our students and families and staff on campus is really impressive. They had strong evidence of our signature practices in our instruction and in the language on our campus, and they were very complimentary of the work that our English language arts and our math teams have been doing over the last couple of years in developing common assessments that they deliver to students to help guide their instruction. Okay? Many times areas of strength are also an area of growth, and that's an important thing to recognize. You can leverage that growth from an area of strength. Although we do have strong relationships, we still want to make some connections to some of those students that might not already be connected to something. There are students that aren't part of a special program. They're not part of something that is really super meaningful to them yet. So our task is to find those kids, talk with them, understand what that is, and then provide that support for them, or that connective fiber for them. Student achievement is an area that we already knew. We self-reported that we recognize that we have growth in areas of mastery as measured on the SBAC assessment. Our data analysis processes, although we have some good systems in place, we are still working on having that be continuous across all of our classrooms, and then more importantly, taking that data analysis and changing our practices after that. So give the assessment, identify the areas of gaps of knowledge and mastery for our students, and then as adults, changing what we do differently in the classroom to address that need. That's an area of focus for us. Common assessments across all of our core areas, not just in ELA and math. And then deepen the collaborative practices. That's not to say that we don't collaborate with each other, we do, but we want to take that collaboration and go a little bit deeper in that developing a professional learning community. So a group of professionals are talking about the data that they're collecting and then implementing an action plan to fix those gaps. So taking the collaboration and just going to one more deeper level. So they left us with some recognition and some acknowledgement. And for us, it was very timely. They left on Wednesday, and we had another school day, and then we had a professional development day on Friday. So Friday morning, we rolled up our sleeves and got to work right away in terms of talking about, okay, what are we going to do today with what we just heard on Wednesday? What are we going to do next week, which is this week? And then after spring break, what are we going to be doing for the remainder of this year? What work do we need to be doing in the summer to set up our next year's goals and things like that? And then on and on and on. So this WASC came at a great time for us because it was a good opportunity for us to reflect on what was going really well, and then also give us some energy and some guidance and some focus on continuing that process of continued growth. So they were very complimentary. They gave us some good suggestions. They have submitted their report to the WASC board at the state level, and so we are awaiting the response from the state board as to what the official rating will be. And we anticipate and hope that it will be a 6-year accreditation as we received the last time. And as soon as I find out, I will share that, of course, with all of you.
Thank you, Mr. McGinnis. I would just want to say, having sat in on the closing remarks, there were 2 takeaways that I have from that. First of all, one of the WASC members said, I've been on a lot of WASC visits, and I think this is the first time I've ever had board members and city council members come to the opening. And that's just indicative of this community and the support we have for Monrovia High School. And the second thing is the number of people on that committee that said, I've found several things here that I'm going to take home with me and implement where I come from. So great job, and I don't think there's any question we're going to be 6-year accreditation. That team, just had a glow about what they had seen the week. So thanks so much. Any other comments or questions?
Just the self-study that was written, that 236-page document you referred to.
Yes.
Obviously consumed somebody's life for a pretty good time.
Yes.
It was so comprehensive. I read it. It took me 3 days to read it. But we all got a copy of it, and I know the board takes their work very seriously. And that was an incredible document because, and this is for the benefit of the community, it's a self-reflection of not only what you're doing right, but what you think you need to do to improve. And having WASC come They're confirming what the self-study looks at. It's not to find fault in what's in your school. It's to find that you are, in fact, looking at what you think you need to be looking at. And it was just a tremendous document. I have really never read one before. It was my first time, and I was incredibly impressed, the depth that it goes to on a self-study. It's almost painful if you were doing a self-reflection as a person. You would look at it and say, you know, I really need, and if you replace the word Monrovia High School with the word I need to improve on this, and then put it in a document that's public. That is a sometimes painful thing to do, to have somebody, and then have somebody else come out and confirm what you have now written down as ways that you need to improve. So my hat's off to you guys. The document was incredibly written. It was actually easy to read. It was just a long way to get through it. But very impressed. Very impressed.
That's great feedback to hear. It was a collective effort. Everyone had some part of voice in that. We had focus group leaders getting feedback from team members, crafting some language, putting it all together in a working draft. And Brian Ilarigi was our editor. He was our WASC coordinator. So he was the one to kind of put some of that language together, bring it back to us, so our leadership team could look at it and say, great, the changes you made still, our voice is still heard. And so there was a lot of hard work on a lot of people's behalf at the high school. So I'll pass that on. Thank you.
Thanks again, Mr. McGinnis.
Thank you.
Does that conclude your report, or?
I have just one more announcement. I received in the mail today a letter from Citrus College from Dr. Perry, the superintendent and president of Citrus College, congratulating us and our 2 robotics teams who are going to the world, and also letting us know that the Citrus College rocketry and robotics team is planning to compete in the FAR 1030 rocketry competition in June 2019, and their Rocket Owls team has been selected to participate in the NASA Student Launch Program again this year. The Rocket Owls team is one of 45 colleges and universities chosen by NASA experts to join this program. Launch week is April 4th through 7th, and their students will be participating in this national competition held next to NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama.
Wow, amazing.
Do you know if we have any Monrovia students on that team? Just out of curiosity.
I do not know.
Could you ask if maybe that team eventually would like to come to some of our schools and demonstrate what they've done? I think that would be exciting.
It does look like an opportunity for a partnership.
I love it.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Throsian. Moving on to public comments. Do we have any cards?
Per items.
For either comments on the agenda or off the agenda?
Just one. Anne, would you like to?
Good evening, Board, Cabinet, Dr. Tarosian. I am speaking on behalf of the Monrovia Teachers Association, as I notice you have Public Square on the docket for this evening. And as we all know, we're in crunch time as far as the budget goes, and we've been hearing the dire news for quite a while now about how strapped we are for cash. Our elementary school teachers have been happy with Class Dojo, and so I'd ask that you carefully evaluate the benefits of Public Square, which will cost us money in this time where we're trying to cut back. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? None? All right. Informational report, Chromebooks at Santa Fe Computer School, Mr. Provokian. Yeah. You know, some nights you just can't say certain words. Mr. Provokian, thank you. It's not that I don't know Charles. What's it go around?
It's just for feel. It might not be charged or working right now, but just so you guys have the feel of what it looks like, weight, balance. Okay. Good evening, President Gilliland, board members, cabinet, members of the public. This is an informational report on the status of our Santa Fe Wonder1 Chromebooks. What is a Chromebook and what does it do? I realize in talking with a few folks that there are folks out there that still don't know what a Chromebook is. So I kind of wanted to make sure everyone here, gets a feel for what it is and also know what exactly a Chromebook does. A Chromebook is basically a laptop that runs the Chrome OS. Its main strength is the ability to access the web and web-based applications with high efficiency and relatively low costs. Basically, it's a laptop that's optimized for running a Google Chrome browser, and that's its main strength. That's all it does is optimize for that, so that it can access web-based curriculum, access the web, and Chrome-based apps and Android apps. What are we planning to do with this? We have some instructional goals, and I'll have Jeff speak to the instructional pieces of the Chromebooks.
Thank you, Charles. Good evening, President Gilliland, Board of Education, Dr. Tarosian, and Cabinet. So we've been working on this for quite some time. This is an exciting evening to present this information to you. Santa Fe has already been using these devices, and what's exciting is they are catching fire in a very positive way that is transforming learning. So what we've done is the devices are being gathered together for sort of a warehousing and a cleaning, then will be redistributed after spring break as our first pilot to all students at the school. So some of the, just this afternoon, to kind of highlight what we talk about with instructional focus, I was in a department chairs meeting and they were clamoring to get when are we going to do this? We need the devices back, right? So we've had to warehouse them in order to clean them up and get them ready for the kids again. But that's kind of an exciting problem, shall we say, because we have a staff now that understands not only the value of these devices, but the way they can transform learning. So I want to explain some of this through this slide right here. So not only do we have these kids using, the students using the devices on a daily basis, but what they're doing with the devices is what's been so remarkable to me, so exciting. What you see at Santa Fe every day is children collaborating not only across the classroom, but across the campus at lightning speed. You see, in some ways, the concept of instruction being maximized and even going beyond the school day, because we have teachers who will send out really this concept of flipping instruction, whereas they're sending out parts of instruction that go home, and the next day students come back and they've already done that. They've already completed it through something online. And the students and teachers are engaged online beyond the instructional day, collaborating, communicating, about what takes place during the instructional day. So that's very exciting in and of itself. There is much more the ability for students to personalize their learning and to expand notions of what traditional projects look like. And I think that a lot of us in here would be able to give an application of that personalization and that way to expand a notion or a concept learned in the class to even the business world, right? Where we're taking on projects, the world of work, and you're putting yourself into that project, almost like the self-study, right? And there's an end product. So the students are already engaged in that type of a process at Santa Fe. Really cool stuff. It's now become commonplace to go into rooms and see students who might not be the loudest in the class, shall we say, or one of the most vocal, but they have a space to shine, right? And their creative thinking and their innovation is really allowed to show itself in various ways through the use of these devices. You see the bullet there on critical thinking and problem solving. there's a couple teachers at our school that are already so far out there with what they're doing where they don't exactly know how it's going to turn out. And you see kids saying, we could try this, and you'll see them trying something new. And literally the 12-year-old is leading the charge. It's really cool stuff. Increased digital literacy skills. We have two I could call them advanced, but we have 2 coding classes. And again, we're in this kind of an interesting problem to have. We are pushing the limits of the curriculum we've been given right now because the kids are pushing that. And one of the things that was really the vision of Dr. Tarosian was that we want to create a problem for Monrovia High School in that they have to open up more sections of computer science because you came to Santa Fe and yeah, you might really enjoy poems and literature, but you're going to be ready to get some AP Comp Sci credits under your belt as well. And then the other way I hope that one day this leads to disruptive innovation in our community is that the students are already coding into different languages, and they will continue on to do that at Monrovia High School. And we will have Monrovia High School students in a few years. This is really a hope and a dream at this point that are going to get wonderful letters of acceptance, but they might put that on hold because they've got a $60,000 or $70,000 job waiting for them with their coding skills or something of that nature where because of what they've learned and because of this new language that they have, they are truly able to apply those skills. So some really exciting stuff taking place with regards to our instructional goals. I think it's important to mention that reading, writing, thinking are all still there. They're all still intact within what we try to do by using these devices. So it's some really exciting stuff, and I'm looking forward to just a great future. Thank you. Head on. Okay, so we're putting devices into the hands of 11 to 14-year-olds, and I think that we're all well aware that this age group, right, tends to struggle with how to use. This is their first chapter in their young lives of using devices responsibly, and it's a challenge for them. And I want to speak frankly, there is some anxiousness about our teaching staff who are very committed to them becoming good digital citizens. So we already have, and we've already had some training that's underway at Santa Fe on implementing the Common Sense Digital Citizenship Program. The teachers have it on their devices. They have it on their district-provided Nearpod accounts, and they know how to deliver these lessons and will be doing so. This is something that is critical to teaching our kids how to use these devices correctly, how to maintain their own online safety. Recognize, too, that the school district does provide some services that will be supporting this, like geo-listening, right, that are all about safety. So this emphasis around being a good digital citizen and starting with the student, their own safety. All too often, young people do not recognize the risk they put themselves at when they share their information. So it starts there. And then it goes outward towards how they become a good digital citizen with all of their classmates and their community members, right? And so the devices are, and this is already underway at our school, right? The California Education Code, right, which clearly delineates what are suspendable offenses and consequences for misuse of the devices is already employed. Some of the other aspects that we are working on with our students to have them understand that these devices will be the property and are the property of Monrovia Unified School District, and as such, there's no guarantee of privacy, right? We want them to know that, right? And that, again, that we will be, this is going to be a constant daily effort from when these devices roll out in April till June 5th, right? We feel very strongly and passionately about this. As much as anything, as much as the great stuff we talked about a few minutes ago, is teaching our kids to grow up using this correctly. And think about it goes, I don't want us to think about this as something, an additional layer, but it goes hand in hand with what we already teach. We've heard some good information already this evening about educating the whole child, right? And a simple example is a few weeks ago in a class, we had one student, they were sharing a doc, so they were live, right, on their Google platform, and they were sharing inappropriate comments about a classmate, the same as a note that in our day was passed around, right? And it was handled, and you know, the appropriate protocols for that discipline took place. But I think we need to ground ourselves in, this is very exciting and it's new for our community, but at the same time, the values that anchor this are the same values that already exist in our schools and our community about what it means to be a good person. I mean, we could take the digital all the way from the citizenship, right? So some of those, it looks different and it can act differently, but it carries some of the same values that already exist in Monrovia Unified and in our community of Monrovia.
When the Chromebooks are issued, there will be a handbook that will be going out to the students and parents. Part of the highlights in the handbooks is to be clear that the students are to take care of the Chromebooks as students' responsibility. That includes such things such as charging the device nightly so that when they come to class, it's fully charged. These Chromebooks actually are supposed to last up to 8 hours. They're supposed to last a full day on a full charge. They're also going to be issued with a protective sleeve that you guys been passed around. And we also know full well that a lot of the kids' backpacks already have cushions for laptops. So for some of these students, they may already have double cushioning, or they may just put in their backpacks, which is already cushioned. The students and the families also have the option to take out insurance, optional insurance as well. We are not forcing any parents to take insurance. We will be suggesting a partner that they can go with, or they can find their own insurance as well that will be able to take in these Chromebooks and repair them should they be damaged. And we're treating them as a textbook, basically, that if a Chromebook is damaged, basically we will repair it, and we'll just try to figure out a way to recover those funds in the form of like a textbook fine. As Dr. Z said, the devices are the property of the Monrovia Unified School Districts. What we do is we also are able to manage the Chromebooks as well, both the hardware and the software. So we are actually able to control what the students can install and not install. We can have the ability to update the Chromebooks as well. So as they turn them on, whether they're at home or at school, that they will automatically update. And that we're maintaining the right that if we need to, we can get these Chromebooks, update them ourselves, or inspect the Chromebooks, see what's on them, maintain them if they need to be. And one of the things that we also have that we're covering as well is that we want to make sure that students are using them, they are charging them, bringing them to school. And we do have a report that the school sites will be monitoring to make sure that the Chromebooks are checking in the event that maybe a student possibly reloaded the Chromebook such that we can't see it anymore. Then we will know if that Chromebook has checked in or not, and the school site will follow up to say, hey, your Chromebook hasn't checked in for a while. What's going on? Has it been off for the whole week? Or has it been what some folks called rooted? Has it been hacked? So we will be monitoring that as well to make sure that we maintain control of our Chromebooks.
So I know I spoke a lot already about the great things we're going to do with the Chromebooks, but I think it's perfect that we just heard from Mr. McGinnis and the high school, both their WASC visit and some of the great things that they're doing up there, because you're really starting to see now connections between what the middle schools are trying to do in Monrovia and the great opportunities then that will bear fruit at the high school. And I think this is exactly that. This is a next piece to that, is that the skills that the students will be developing by using these devices will enhance their ability to be successful, not only at Monrovia High School, but beyond. And so I'm really excited about the opportunities that this will open for them at Monrovia High School. And I also, something I'm very proud of is that I really feel that at Santa Fe, and thank you, Board of Education, thank you, Cabinet, for your hard work. Mr. Buvakin is to be commended as well for all of his hard work, because this is another piece where this community can feel proud about how we're bridging the digital divide and putting devices in the hands of students. That it's a game changer. Just one quick case study. A particular 8th grader, wonderful parent came to our PK classes in Spanish, and in many traditional standards, this boy struggles in school. And he has been an absolute superstar, where his skills have been highlighted by what he can do with these devices. And he told me, Dr. Z, I feel like now I know what I want to do when I get to Monrovia High School. And this is someone who, right now, the grades might not look the best, but I feel like here's the same thing that you see at the high school, all those wonderful opportunities. Here's yet another way where the hard work of everyone in this room is giving our students in our community more opportunities, more choice. It's inspiring them to finding their path. So thank you very much to all of you. And I know that we have our boardwalk on April 22nd. So I'll look forward to sharing with all of you some of the good things that I hope you'll see on that day about the fruition of tonight's endeavor. Thank you.
Yes. Any
I have some
questions?
I do have a question.
Thank you. Yeah, I have one comment and a couple of questions. You talk about the career technical aspects of this, and it's hard to imagine how big that is. My niece's son was in love with computers from a very young age, and at the age of 12, he hacked into a very large corporation's database. And he's a good kid. He's 12 years old, and he's explorative. And so he wrote that company and said, "Hey, you know what? Here's a flaw in your security software." And they're like, "Oh my God, you're right." And they had no idea he was 12 years old. They paid him $10,000 as a 12-year-old to proof the fix they made for that. He works for Google now in New York as a computer science major in college. And that's the kind of opportunities that some of these students will have for this. So I love that we're able to do this at Santa Fe. I look forward to the day that we have this in the whole district, but there are a couple of questions. And one is how are we getting the information to the parents about the parameters for the use of these? And along with that question, then, if a parent says, "Hey, I've grounded my kid from computers, TV, et cetera, do they have can they just say, hey, they're not going to have a Chromebook and the child still do okay? How does that get handled?
Great questions. So here, first of all, the parents have been made aware that these devices are coming home after spring break, and they will be getting the handbook, and there are assemblies planned with sign-ins and so forth where the parents must attend, right? We want to make sure that all of the information about proper use is detailed to every parent who has a Chromebook, right, coming home. That first and foremost. Second of all, there are some interesting challenges we will face. I've, in my excitement on a couple occasions, first of all, I said to a couple of parents, "I'm so excited, I had another meeting today. Hey, this is coming out, right? Positive voice, you can let people know about this." And some of them said, "Oh, that's great, Jeff. You cross me off the list, we're good, we have one at home. So you don't need to worry about this." That's very nice of them. But the message is going to be, you need to have the MUSD issued one for class. If they don't want it to come home for whatever reason, we have a storage plan, a safe storage plan at Santa Fe where they can leave them with us overnight. So if they don't want the device at home, they can leave it with us to answer the second part of your question. However, my charge to parents is going to be, look, like many other challenging topics that that might go beyond the traditional curriculum, here's an excellent opportunity for us to partner with our community to work together to educate our students about the proper way, the good way, the enlightening way, the way of your grandchild, of how we can use these devices that can be an absolute support to their future. And it's the same with the phones, right? And I'm a middle school principal, so the phones sometimes they're a challenge, okay? But if our school doesn't teach the kids the positive, educational, correct, good power of the device, then other sources that are not that will. So here's a charge for us at Santa Fe to work with our community, to educate our community about here's how this can be a game changer for your child. So I am going to try my best to impress upon parents, and yes, it is work, that having the device at home can be a good thing, and you will need to put X, Y, and Z in place. If they feel that they can't do this, I believe they can, but if for whatever reason, we will have safe storage at the school.
I have a question. Have you identified the children at your school that don't have access to Wi-Fi at home, and what are you doing about that so that they
Yes.
can?
So we've already done a Google Form survey, and we are in the process of working on getting hotspots to provide to them for no cost, so that we can truly bridge that gap.
So no cost to the parents. Is it at our cost?
Well, so we've been searching with different providers to try and find something. There are programs that will give us some of these devices, which are about this big, right, at very small or no cost.
So do you know about how many students don't have access to Wi-Fi?
It's about 8% right now, which is about 40 families.
Okay.
And this is a great question, though. I want to answer that. We don't have it entirely solved at this point. We know who the kids are, and we are working on it, though.
Okay.
Yeah. That will be a challenge. We are still looking into that, but that
that
definitely will be a challenge.
Can we get a follow-up about that right after Easter? Spring
break.
Spring break.
Good question, Celine, regarding the Wi-Fi. Thank you. Jeff, I also have a question. I'm going to assume that all these devices have the same firewalls built in that any other computer on a school site would have, correct?
Yes.
Okay, just for the parents listening out there, they shouldn't be able to access anything that's inappropriate, that they wouldn't be able to.
I'm going to clarify that.
Okay, thank you.
One. What they do have is just Chrome has its built-in security, but beyond that, there is no web filtering. When they're at home, that's where we're doing the digital citizenship education. When they're at home, it's up to the how their internet is configured. But when they are here, they do go through our web filtering. They do go through our web firewall. But we aren't able at this point to control their access when they're at home.
Okay, so those instructions need to be clear to parents that they have that responsibility under their supervision. And that's been clear?
Yeah, that will be
okay, in the
clear.
instructions.
It's
okay.
also clear in the handbook.
Right. And then the other thing I wanted to know is, do they have the capability to download programs to these computers, or does that require administrative rights or permissions?
So how it would be controlled is that on our end, we get to specify software A. You have it, no question. You have it. It's just force install. Software B would be an option. Software C is an option. So what we have to do is basically what's called a whitelist of applications. They can't just install any applications. They already have to be pre-approved by the district for them to install.
Okay, so if a student wanted to connect to their home printer and download those drivers, is that possible?
The printer is a little bit of a challenge because Google Printing works a little bit differently. How Google Printing works is that your printer has to be Google Print, I forgot what it's called, but print certified, otherwise it won't work. So they use a standard Google Print language. If their printer happens to have that, they'll be able to print without any drivers.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments?
I wanted to expand on Maritz's question about basically what can be accessed from home. As a parent, I would love someone to give me some instructions on parental controls, on locking things out, and how to prevent access from that. Because so far, I right now I can put something out of reach of my kids, but in another year that's not going to work either. So I would love it if you could provide parents with instructions on how to help lock those things up.
To build on that really quick, I mean, you have to understand that a lot of the parents are going to have no understanding whatsoever of what you're going to show them. And I think it would be of great benefit to have some events at your school to physically show them how to do whatever they want to do, how to lock, how to scan, how to do the various things that you as a parent, since you both have kids, that you as parents would want to do on your child's device. And to make sure, again, and to continuously reinforce to the parents and to the students that these are school devices, that they have no privacy, that they will be, the hard drives will be looked at or deleted on a regular basis. They're not for family use or anything else. But I do agree that the parents need to physically be shown, not be given a piece of paper that they don't really get. And I think that I think there would be a lot of interest from the parents who don't understand the technology and everything that it can do. And for you to explain to them what it can and can't do. Because they don't know the limitations that you're talking about. I think you would get a good response.
All right, thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments? Then we'll move on to consent agenda. We pulled 2 items from the agenda. Could I have a motion for the rest of the
With the
consent?
notation of the 2 that were pulled, I've moved consent.
Second.
Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, then, we will move on to action items. Dr. Kaiser is going to tell us about the new course offering at the high school. Speaking of the high school.
I'm very excited to bring before you tonight, President Gilliland and Board, a recommendation to approve the Citrus College course description for the early college program, Motion Picture Appreciation, as a new course offering for the high school students. And this would be one of our early college courses in keeping with our LCAP goal 1.6, increasing access to higher level courses to increase the number of students who successfully enter and complete high school, both college and career ready. The textbooks have an approximate cost of $106 per book. The anticipated total cost will be $3,180, and the cost will be paid for by the College Readiness Block Grant.
Questions or comments? I just, real quick comment is that just think of the breadth of the scope of programs we've talked about at the high school tonight. Arts, science, academics, it's amazing what all is going on at that high school. Could I have a motion to approve the course itself?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Ms. Huff?
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Then, did you have anything else to say about the textbook, Doctor?
The next item is the recommendation to accept for public review prior to the adoption the following textbook for early college course, Motion Picture Appreciation, Film Art and Introduction, the 11th edition by McGraw-Hill.
And that will be available here at the district office or at the site?
It will be available here in the lobby for 30 days.
Great. Any questions or comments? Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Then we'll move on to what was consent agenda item 1. Who's leading that?
Dr. Kaiser? Yes. This item is our item. It's the Los Angeles County Office of Education contract for the Technology Enhanced Arts and Learning, known as TEAL, with social emotional learning as a pilot. This is a program that we have been invited to engage with the county on. Only a few schools throughout the county, districts throughout the county, were invited into this project. And what this would be is the third TEAL project that Monrovia Unified School District is participating with in Laco. The pilot project spans 2 years, and this first piece is for this spring, and it will involve 4 teachers, including 1 participant from the Village program, where they will receive 1 day of professional development, and there is a stipend for the district that we will receive for participating in this project of $5,000.
So will that take them out of their class for instructional period, and are they volunteers?
It'll take them out of the classroom for 1 day, and they are teachers from Wild Rose. We decided to take a look at Wild Rose and to invite the teachers from Wild Rose first, because they are the School of the Creative Arts. And then next year, other schools will have the opportunity to participate in the increased pilot.
And the ones that are in that are volunteered from
That's my understanding.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, I don't really understand what this project is. I mean, it's arts, it's social emotional support. I don't quite get it.
Okay, TEAL is, it has a lot of words in it. And what they've linked this to, it is really training in the arts for teachers. Things that they can do inside their classroom, things that they can do within the walls of their school building. And what they link it to is they also explore the social emotional benefit of the arts for children. So that's where the social emotional learning comes in, because there's so much research that links wellness and mental health to exploring the arts. And so that's a piece of it. There's also a technology piece, and that's where the T in TEAL comes from. And so it's utilizing the technology in artful ways also. So the core of it is the arts.
And so we're going to pull 4 teachers from Wild Rose for a personal development day to learn about this program. Is that going to be all 4 on the same day?
Yes, it's actually 3 teachers from Wild Rose and 1 from Village.
Is this going to be, I mean, those are a lot of subs for one school. And I'm concerned about the loss of instructional time there at Wild Rose. Are we going to make sure to schedule it so that it's not around benchmark testing, it's not around close to preparation for SBAC, it doesn't interfere with, every minute of every day of instructional teaching is important, but are we going to put it in the softest place that we can, so to speak, since there is going to be there would be 3 teachers missing from that school that day.
The days are actually scheduled by the county, and so we don't have that flexibility. But the county does know that state testing is coming, so the day will not be scheduled in the middle of state testing.
Other questions or comments? Now, I guess I need a motion to ratify the contract with the LACO office. No motion?
So moved.
Do I get a second?
Second.
All right. Ms. Huff, would you take the vote?
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Moving on to pilot agreement with Parent Square. Dr. Throsian.
Thank you. Parent Square is a vehicle through which school districts and the larger community around them might communicate. And so it is a dynamic program. It is, what we're looking at right now is, just keep going to the next slide, is a pilot through the end of the year to see how we might streamline our communication. Actually, go back down. Here, let me so we have some challenges in communicating. We have lots of different ways through which we communicate as a school district. We have Class Dojo, for example, is definitely one where that teachers use. Remind is another one that teachers use. I received a report today saying that 109 teachers use Remind. We send out emails, we send out newsletters, but they're all coming from different ways. And then there's also the robocalls that we send out. Parent Square provides us with an opportunity to streamline all of those and allows for the school, the district, and PTAs to communicate with parents as well as the classroom teacher so that there can be private communication between the teacher and the home, the parent, or class-wide communication. So that's one step, but the school also has a chance to communicate with parents, and so it becomes a broader message than just a singular class. Our students, depending upon where they go to school, and our parents, depending upon where their children go to school, have various means. They're learning different systems each time. And this is just for the class. It doesn't take into consideration the communication that's coming from the administrators or the PTA. So we're having lots and lots of different ways of doing that. It is beyond alerts, but it includes meaningful two-way communication, and it allows for language translation. One of the nice things that this program offers is a way through which, let's say if a school were going on a field trip, forms could be signed electronically and might be managed by the teacher on that platform. So you're not walking around with your stack of forms and working through things. The other thing that this can do is identify sign-ups for volunteers in a classroom, sign-ups for parent-teacher conferences so that those are scheduled online with each teacher. It allows for, if we had Parent Square, we wouldn't need the GoFundMe account. We would be able to do it right through here because it allows for donations as well. there are some surveying opportunities, and it also does the usual mass notifications that we also have. So it looked like a system that would make life easier for the parent, for communication with the parents, between teachers and parents, and between schools and the district and parents. We have 4 pilot schools, Santa Fe, Wild Rose, Monrovia High School, and Mayflower. And the interface between Parent Square and Aries maintains the privacy of all of our students. There is no giving of information. We're still protected. This is a ratification, though. This is a contract, and we entered into back in at the beginning of February. It's a pilot of $1,500 in total through the end of the year.
I have a couple of questions, not so much about the program itself yet, but just procedurally, we haven't had a contract with them in the past. So how did this get stuck on consent, and why is it being ratified?
We had an opportunity to begin. The board was made aware of the intent to move forward back in January through a few updates. And we actually intended to put it in back then, and it didn't make it onto an agenda. We thought it had already been approved back then. So that was an error on our part.
Is the intent of this program to replace Aries or School Loop or that type of?
This would not replace Aries. Aries is our student information system, and so it does not replace that warehouse of information for our students. It is a communication means, so it would be similar to School Loop, just not as expensive.
But Aries did replace School Loop,
No,
correct?
no, 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 no. We don't have School Loop any longer.
And what replaced School Loop?
There was School Messenger that we have, which is our process for mass communications, and I believe we did have an upgrade in our did we have an upgrade in our Aries program for that?
School Loop and Aries, there are some overlapping functions. School Loop did not replace, Aries did not replace School Loop. We upgraded our Aries, we gained some functions, but it did not have all the functions that School Loop has. As we're venturing through this pilot, we know that there are many systems out there. I'm not sure if there's any that does everything that we want or all, but we're looking at one that has a lot of communication functions built in as one platform. So we're trying to figure out how to find a unified platform to work with our SIS so that we can cover all our bases is what we're trying to do.
But I am fairly sure, I could be wrong, that part of the explanation why we didn't need School Loops was because we were many of those functions would be taken care of in Aries. And we've had issues with parent communication through Aries, and it hasn't been the best transition possible. So again, my question is this meant to take the place of what the purpose of School Loop was?
It would have some of the functionality of School Loop, but it is more than what School Loop offered before. It goes beyond it.
Like, for example, School Loop had like a gradebook feature. That part is on the Aries parent portal. What School Loop also has was an internal messaging feature, which Aries provided what they called an external messaging feature, which didn't really work the way we would like it to be. So the overlapping feature here with School Loop would be the internal messaging component, but it would not have the gradebook features that School Loop has.
would the use of this software reduce any expenses or uses that we currently have with Aries? Meaning, is this going to save us money in our Aries cost?
That's a possibility between that and School Messenger especially.
Well, this gets kind of important to Ms. Battle's comment of we're looking at where the money is. So, Charles, what is your rough estimate on whether this is a net cost or savings of money?
And if I can expand on that question, this says that it's going to be $1,500 to pilot it from now until June. If we were to implement it, how much would it cost?
Implementation for the district would be about $20,000.
A year for all sites?
I'm not sure because we haven't figured out those details. It was really, do we like this enough to investigate further is where we were.
And what costs would we be saving?
Well, we're looking at costs such as School Messenger, which I believe is currently about $1.25. We could potentially be saving that
Per student?
per student.
Do we do it per student, per teacher, per administrator? What's that total number?
Yeah.
Ballpark.
Let me do the math. That part would be about what, 7,000 possibly
Per year?
per year.
How
And
many?
Is that the only expense that we're going to be saving? If we reduce some of the functionality of areas, does that save us any money?
We haven't done a full cost analysis yet on that.
So if we approve this trial, and this trial's gonna cost us $1,000 something.
1,500.
It already cost us 1,500, but does that in any way commit us to go any further with that software?
It does not.
And at the end of this trial, is there plans to put together a package that says this is the benefit, this is the cost, this is... That would have to come back to the board to approve any kind of a long-term implementation of this.
That kind of larger contract of, tens of thousands of dollars would require that cost-benefit analysis, and we would need to know whether or not we could even afford it at that time.
Yeah, so this would only give us the data to go into that kind of a cost analysis.
To see if it's even worth
See if
it.
it's even worth going any further with. So that's the proposal, is to do the trial now and then look at implementation possibilities later.
So you definitely don't see this as an opportunity to do away with Aries. We are required to use Aries because of the registration process. I'm just looking at all the options that are available on Parent Square, which I'm liking a lot of the things because I dislike Aries.
As every parent does.
As a current parent of a child in the school system, I do not like Aries. So I'm liking what I'm seeing here, but I would really hesitate to have two separate systems if this has the capability of doing what Aries does.
And I'd like
for
to
us.
know if this communicates with Aries.
This does communicate with Aries. There's a seamless communication. Aries is one of those biggest student information systems around. It is a student information system. It may replace some of the functionality with which we are struggling with Aries, such as the online enrollment and registration, which has been really frustrating to navigate and requires such repetition from parents. There are forms in here that we could probably push out a lot easier through Parent Square. But again, it's trying to see what we can and can't do. But if this will not, and let me say this again, this will not replace Aries as our student information system. It may replace some of the functions that Charles mentioned we had upgraded in Aries that had caused such consternation.
So I'm trying to find out exactly why you decided to why the district decided to pilot this. Was there some sort of glaring issue where we said, you know, we don't like Class Dojo, or we don't like School Loop, or we don't like Peach Jar, or, you know, did something happen where we said, okay, we've got to fix this because there is a cost involved with this, and cost is an issue?
Cost is an issue, and there is no problem with Class Dojo or Remind or Peach Jar or many of the Constella or any of the other multitude of platforms parents and teachers currently use. The issue is we have a multitude of platforms that parents and teachers currently use, and a comparison between Parent Square and Class Dojo is really not a fair comparison, because Class Dojo really is a teacher-centered, teacher-to-class and parent, where this is a district, it could be a district-wide or a school-wide two-way or one-way communication. And it has a lot of additional functionalities. So this is a more robust method through which to enhance our communication with parents. And that right there is the crux of it. How can we improve our communication with parents and make it a little more seamless, so that the information that is that we want for parents to have is at their doorstep? And the analytics involved allows us to really gauge whether or not we've been successful.
And I can definitely see that side, because let's say you're a parent of 3 children in the district. You potentially could be on 3 of these different platforms, receiving and sending information. So I can see the benefit of streamlining. I think it's going to be important to see what the cost is.
During this trial, what are we doing to get the feedback from the parents? And I mean, part of what I want to see is whether we're getting a higher level of engagement from parents, a higher level of engagement from the teachers who actually take the time to use this to send information out, to do the grades and what have you. You know, School Loop was one of those items that I don't know that I spoke to any parents that didn't like it. But I've spoken to a lot of parents who have hated everything that we've used since that point in time. So I want to know why. To me, School Loop is still the bar. I mean, we need to get to that point in which we still have that level of engagement, that the parents are using it, that the teachers are using it, and that it's a constructive and positive tool versus yet another of the 1,000 things that are barraging parents and that they don't want to take the time with, because it's not meeting their needs, not the school's needs, but the parents' needs. So if we're going to be in a trial, I want to know at some point in time what we're doing to pull the parents and see whether they're actually using it and what they do and don't like about it.
And we can do that through Parent Square.
And as a parent, my children's teachers use Class Dojo, and past teachers have used Remind. And I really enjoy Class Dojo, and I was resistant to sign up for it because I had signed up for this and that and the other and the other and the other. But I really like Class Dojo. I've talked to about 6 or 7 teachers in the past week or so. Some of their input I have written down. I love Class Dojo because it gives me the ability to text with parents without giving out my number. I also love the way that I can share access to my class with other colleagues. This is especially helpful with our rotations since we share students in our grade. It allows parents access to all their child's teachers, etc., etc. It has this function, it has that function. I see more parents using the app. For me, it does everything I need it to do and more. Another teacher says, I love it. Great way to communicate. It's free. Did I mention it's free? it's easy to use. It's ingrained in our school culture. It would be disappointing to use anything else, as it has a lot of features I like and know how to navigate. And they go on and on. My concern is switching and switching and switching and switching and switching. And when you have something, and these are over several schools, it's not just one school. I'm concerned that if we keep switching, we're going to start losing parents where we have parents and, you know, already connected with something, whether it's, what were we talking about?
Remind, Constella.
No, the Aries. But yeah, I have had a lot of teacher input, and I'm concerned about changing and changing and changing, and asking parents and teachers to download yet another thing.
Any other comments or questions? Could I have a motion for this?
I'll move to ratify it.
Second? I'll second it. Gonna take the vote, please, Ms. Huff?
Board Member Hammond?
No.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
I'm not in favor of ratifying this and switching, so my vote is no.
Board Member Travanti?
No.
Board Member Gilliland?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes. Remember our president, still yes.
That was 3 noes and 2 yeses.
3 noes, 2 yeses.
Yes, motion dies.
United, yes, that's correct. All right, moving on to proposed board meeting schedule. Trust everyone has reviewed that. Are there any questions or comments? Could I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, pending board issues other than adding the extra visit to Monrovia High School. Is there anything else?
There is not.
We're still working on that April.
We are still working on the April 19th date, and we have, we're hoping to secure that facilitator.
And are we getting closer to a date for the State of the Schools?
We are. We're able to secure Tuesday, October 15th for the State of the District.
Great.
So mark your calendars and, yes. and
Save
we'll
the
have-
date.
Save the date.
All right. Anything else for pending board issues? Old business, our next 2 meetings are April 10th and April 24th for our regular Board of Education meetings. We'll have a special meeting on April 19th. We just discussed. Have a boardwalk on the 22nd at Santa Fe Computer Science Middle School, Magnet School, and several open houses, plenty of activities going on, a lot of dates to calendar. The MEO games are tomorrow. I'm just so disappointed that I don't get to go to that. That's a real special event.
I'll send you a picture.
Please do, yes. I look forward to seeing a lot of posts on Facebook also. Such a great event.
I don't think so.
All right, and just a heads up to everybody out there, the sites will be closed April 1st to 5th, so you'll see a lot more students around the streets. Please drive carefully. Yeah, that's coming right up here.